sum up the sort of excitement you have as a player when you look onto the horizon and you see Springboks, All Blacks, Japan, Australia, 4 Saturdays. Just a general outlook as an England player and as I know you love your rugby. Can you contextualise the importance of this autumn and also sum up the sort of excitement you have as a player when you look onto the horizon and you see Springboks, All Blacks, Japan, Australia, 4 Saturdays?
On a personal level, obviously that is the carrot for me at 32 years old, is to keep playing international rugby as long as I can. And realistically, when I step back, is this the last time I might get to do that? So is this the last autumn I can play in? You know, obviously I'd like to play in more, but as we've seen, you know, the game's pretty brutal and some things are uncontrollable, whether it be selection or injuries. So for me, the opportunity to play the best in the world over the space of a month is hugely exciting, and being in a World Cup year, it's I think it's going to be hugely interesting to ourselves and obviously the outside, seeing how we kind of develop and perform in that series.
One sentence on each of the 4 teams, what challenge they represent. You might feel they all represent the same challenge, but in my mind those 4 teams had something very different. So South Africans, what's the challenge?
I think continuing on where we left off in South Africa. They're obviously a very physical team, and you know, everyone talks about their DNA and physicality being right at the top of that. So I think that challenge is always exciting when you play South Africa, New Zealand, just being on the ball for 85 minutes, because we saw from the weekend they'll play to the very end, and if they're not winning the game, they'll be within a score to win a game. And that, you know, they're a team that if you switch off in any moment of the game, they can go the length of the field. Australia, for me, is always a crafty team. They punch smart. They've always got kind of launch or set piece kind of moves that they execute very well. So being very wary of their creativity. And Japan for me is a complete unknown. I've never played Japan ever. I've never been there. So for me, that is you know, hugely exciting, because you can play Wales, France, Ireland. You know, we get the opportunity to play Australia every year, but Japan, this is completely new. So I'd love to be involved with that fixture.
And put into context where England are right now in your own mind, that the headline writers will go, there was a bad blip in 2019, 5 defeats. What's the reality from inside the camp of where the boys feel they are? Well,
the reality is we've had losses, and we've had a huge period of success, but both are in the past. And for me, if you're looking back at success, you're not going forward, and if you're looking at failure, you're not going forward either. You know, our destiny is purely in our hands come November, and the only way we can change opinions, and I'm not that worried about opinions. What I am worried about is how we develop as a team over this coming month in November, and how that kind of puts us going forward into a Six Nations in a World Cup. So we are hugely in control of our destiny.
And in terms of it being in control of your destiny, what are the areas, 1, 2, 3, that you think have room for improvement at the moment?
So the breakdown's ever evolving. You look at trends in the game, and the referees obviously want to speed the breakdown up, and you obviously need to, in attack, deliver that quick ball and then play off it. But the opposite side of that, defensively, you need to find a way to affect ball speed without being ill-disciplined. And I think the game's ever moving, so it's how we can adapt to referees' interpretations in these games coming up, and make sure we can affect the breakdown in some manner. Because if you don't affect the breakdown or the tackle or the contest area, you're giving teams free ball. They can gain momentum, phases, pressure, all these things come off the back of it. So I think affecting the tackle area and the ruck is, I'm not just talking about English rugby, we're talking about Northampton. I think most teams in the world want to affect the tackle and breakdown area. So how we can best do that.
I mean, the fascinating thing I find now in terms of how far it's come, we always sort of felt 10, 15 years ago we were looking for those small marginal gains. When you talk about the tackle area, how much, just let people know how much insight goes into the referee and how much work you do on the referee's styles and potential arm pens that he gives.
Yeah, I mean, luckily in this day and age we've got analysts and people that do a lot of homework for us, and I kind of get like a sheet of favoured penalties, and I'll tell you what, most referees penalties given are given against a defensive side at the breakdown, and it's usually for not releasing, not rolling away.
Yeah, they want to set the marker down early.
Yeah, and you got to understand why, probably because you
not sometimes feel when you're on the when you're on the end of a whistle, you're pinned in the bottom. You're like, ref, what do you want me to be? Invisible?
You're not allowed to pin players anymore.
No, well, they don't ping anyone but pinning players.
This is my point. As in, there's trends that's always moving.
Yeah.
So one year they want people rolling away, and then teams cotton on to holding people in the ruck.
Yeah.
And making it look like now the refs know that that's happening.
Yeah.
They're saying if you're going to hold people in the ruck, we'll ping the attacking side.
Yeah, which I'd like. So my thing about that, again, I'm an anorak, is if you're on the wrong side and you're on the wrong side because you're trying to slow the ball down, they ping you. You don't get a warning, they ping you.
Yeah.
If you're on the attacking side and I notice you're on the wrong side of the ball and I pin you down, they warn me for pinning you down. Ugh, bugs me. Why don't they just ping me for cheating?
I don't know.
I know, does it bug you? But you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my current room, my room 101.
It's
referees warn the people who hold people in, but they don't warn the people who are on the wrong side.
Okay, so they'll probably warn people for a season, and these are the trends that we're talking about, and then next season will be a zero tolerance.
Where do you view this England pack globally as a scrummaging outfit?
We're doing okay. Neil Hartley's he's on the phone to me most weeks. He loves talking scrums. And
so what he's watching, he's seeing things like body heights and elbows too long.
It's good. What we want to be able to do is deliver. We talk about set piece launch.
Yeah.
You know, a good scrum now isn't just keeping the ball in and scrumming to a penalty, then kicking it to the corner. That's a great outcome. Don't get me wrong, but you can't do that every scrum of the game. What you want to be able to do is have variety. You want to be that channel one strike, balls in the 9's hands, the 12s over the gain line within 4 or 5 seconds of the ball being put in the scrum. Bang, bang, bang. That is a positive outcome. You're over the gain line. You're on the front foot. And then what happens then is you get the opposition kind of flankers. We call it meerkatting, kind of popping their heads up. And I'll tell you what, when they're popping their heads up, worrying about the ball coming out and the 12 coming short, they ain't pushing on their props. So there'll be a time in the game where you can add that variety and think, okay, we've got the flankers.
Do you love scrummaging?
Yeah,
is that what
I do? And if I didn't, I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
I've got to be passionate about it because whether it's fortunate or not, I'm kind of built for that position.
Did you always play in the front row? Or did your skills appear in the
back
back
row?
number
8. Yeah, and then I found the canteen at middle school. Mum's baking was pretty good as well. And then I met Dorian West, and he kind of converted me to really be passionate about scrummaging. But it's an interesting thing, and I think the World Rugby and refs and everyone involved with scrummaging playing have done a great job of kind of. We're talking about breakdowns trying to be sped up to make the game free-flowing, entertaining, bums on seat. People want to see fast ball. People don't want to see reset scrums. And I think in the last 2 years, we've really cleaned that up, and we're seeing really kind of positive scrummaging. It's good to be a part of, and relearning which was a dead skill in hooking. That's come fully back to the fore. So I've enjoyed kind of learning that and adding that to my game.
Tell us about your view on captaincy.
In terms of of what.
So what do you think? What do you think the captain's role is? So irrelevant of November, you've captained England many times, unbelievably successfully. So what's your view as your role as England captain, Test match week, match day? So
with I've done the club captaincy for a few years now, and whether it's club or international, I think the captain's job for me, how I see my role, is obviously role execution on the day.
As in your personal, so yes. Deliver your best performance, be word perfect.
Yeah, do what's expected of me. So for me, set piece has to be non-negotiable. My defensive work and my role within our attacking structure, and it's heavily kind of involved with rucking basically.
Yeah.
But then for me, it's the obvious things on match day. You come out the tunnel first, you do the speech afterwards, you do the ref's toss. For me, captaincy is what goes on behind the scenes. It's probably Sunday to Friday.
Right.
You can't just rock up on Saturday and just perform. I think for me, it's the work that goes in, the analysis, the meetings, the standards of training, the standards of recovery. It's the habits. Performance is habitual. It's the product of what you do every day. And I'd like to think that's what I try to pride myself on, is the work I do, not off the field, but in a training week. And I've got a great group of guys in both camps that I've been involved with that kind of help do that. And when you've got some of your best players that are your best trainers and your best analysts, and the guys that hold court in meetings and ask the right questions or question what we're doing for the right reasons, is that the best way of doing things? That's when you've got a pretty powerful kind of leadership team.
So in an England context, you feel you've got great lieutenants?
Great captains. Anyone could do the job. People like Mako Vanapola, Owen Farrell, Ben Youngs, George Ford, all these guys kind of contribute in their departments. And it's a kind of shining example that when you've got your best players, preparing the way that these guys do, the rest follow.
If I asked Owen or Mako to describe your captaincy in 3 words, what do you reckon they'd say?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I don't think you get much out of Mako.
How would you self-review in a?
I try to work. I can't put it in 3 words. I just try to set the example off the field in terms of how I carry myself, how I prepare, and how I train and work as such, and then role execution on match day.
How would you describe Eddie?
Constant, just always on it, always on it. Yeah, with
the small detail, with the big picture.
Training on the field, off the field, always on it, with a real good balance, and then around the guys. He's got a good way with the players, how he connects with the guys, and he's just like I said, constant. And I was thinking this the other day, as a player. And again, I'll bring it back to the age thing. At 19, you need to know whether you're doing something good or doing something bad. And at 32, you still need that same feedback. You're too high, you're too low, not quick enough, not square enough. It's constant. You've got to be constant. I think the best coaches I've worked with give you that constant feedback. Keep doing, stop doing, do that slightly better. Someone like Steve Borthwick is very good like
on the go coach. So if we then go holistically, just what does it mean to play for England?
Right now, it's opportunity for me. How many more opportunities do I have? Not many, and it's you're lucky enough to do something pretty special in your. You retired at 32?
06, 32, yeah. 33.
I read the brief, see.
First, people would say to me, what were your favourite moments in an England jersey? And it made me slightly easier for me because I'm looking back. I think individually I felt I could do it 4 years in. I felt I got my first cap in '97, and I didn't really feel like I could do it till 2001. I was a warrior.
Yeah.
Where I'm never going to, you talked about gum shields earlier when we were talking about, not another thing to worry about. My God, I had things that I worried about. I was just like my mum, a paranoid neurotic. Collectively, I thought we could do it. Dublin, when it was a Grand Slam decider, when it was on the line for both of them.
Yeah.
And we went there and we turned them over. And that was 03. That was 5-6 years with that squad. So can you pick 2 moments out, one individually when you thought, you know what, I can play this game at the highest level, and 2 when you thought, this is utopian international rugby, England, we've played pretty well today?
I still feel I'm kind of chasing the ultimate, which is that World Cup.
Right.
I think now, I think it comes with maturity, I'm far more self-assured and comfortable with my role and what I do in a team.
Right.
Instead of trying to do this, and comes back to being a little bit younger and reading things and opinions and people saying, and just not really caring now about, it's I'm in it for me. Yeah. I'm in it for me and the opportunity. It's quite selfish, and what I can do for me and how I can remember my career, and ultimately my family, they benefit from that. So yeah, I think now where I'm at now, I'm far more self-assured and confident in what I can offer. But in terms of everything going well, I think winning a Grand Slam for England first time in 13 years was great. But the nature of the sport is that you play a game the next week, you don't really have time to sit back and go, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking when I hang the boots up, I'll probably look back and answer all those questions.
Genuine pleasure to sit in the back of a car and chat rugby. Dylan Hartley joined me on the Pro Direct Rugby Carpool van. What are your views on the high tackle?
Obviously, we need to do everything we can to protect the guys and girls playing the game, but